let's go ahead and just jump into our topic of today, which is, improving website UX. And I just have a few things I would like to share before we get into the discussion. And number one is two reasons why I think having a topic around website user experience is so important. There's really two big ones in my mind. One is if we can improve our website UX, if we can take some tips that we learned today and apply them to our website, it is one of the fastest ways to improving our results, because the great thing about all of our websites is that we're generating traffic today. There's already people that are coming to our website right now. And if we can improve that user experience and help them and inform them and help them take the next step, whatever the case may be, then we're just going to convert more of the traffic that's already coming to our website. So that's one reason I really love website UX and really optimizing around that. The second reason is, this whole demand gen jam session, these monthly events are all about, scaling our marketing and growing our marketing. And so improving our website UX is all about, fixing the foundation, right? It's making sure that once we get all that great traffic coming to our website because of demand generation, that they understand our business and they know what to do to take the next step. And it just helps us scale. And so these are really important discussions to have, because when we improve our website user experience, it's just going to improve our conversions for everybody, new people that are coming to our website and the traffic that's already coming there today. Now, I get the opportunity to see a lot of B2B websites, as you might imagine. And I'll tell you that when I look at B2B websites, I see a lot of issues. One of them is I can't tell you how many websites I look at that are still, even though they might look like a modern website, they're still like circa 1999 or 2000, where they're just a glorified brochure. They just look like, what you might have put on a brochure 20 years ago. That's what I'm seeing on websites today. And really, that's not what our buyers want. Our website is really meant to be a buyer enablement platform, not a brochure. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. How do we make our website more of a buyer enablement platform than just a lot of words? Which kind of gets into the next problem that I see a lot of, and that is, man, do we B2Bs love to talk a lot about what we do. There's so many words on B2B websites. It's unbelievable. We know so much. We have this cursive knowledge, if you will. We understand our industry so well. We understand our products so well. We just want to vomit everything that we know on our website. And as a result of that, our pages are long and full of words. We have too many pages, and it just is so confusing to buyers. And so if we're really going to focus on how do we optimize our user experience, we really need to think about how do we just get to the facts. What is that information that buyer needs right now to help them make an informed purchase decision and really know what to do next. And that ties right into the next problem that I run into, and that is, we know all this stuff, we want to share all this information, and we also think that we're the hero. It's like when I read B2B websites and I land on them, I feel like, they kind of got this attitude of, man, this is your lucky day. You're so lucky that you landed on my website because I'm so great and I'm going to help you because I'm so great. And let me tell you about how great I am. And by the way, go to this other page so I can even tell you more about how great I am. And we have this me problem. I call it the me problem. We want to talk about us all the time. And the problem is that our customers really don't care about how great we are at all. We need to make them the hero of the story, not us the hero of the story. The problem is that we all want to be heroes. So it's natural that, when we talk about ourselves on our websites, we want to be the hero. But the reality is our customer is the hero. We all wake up every day. We're the hero of our lives. Everybody else is kind of the cast of characters that are going to help us do what we want to do. And we've got to understand that's where our buyers are coming from, right? They come to our website thinking that they're the hero. And when they come to your website and you're talking about how great you are and that you're the hero of the story, they're going to go, I don't need another hero. I'm looking for help. I'm the hero. And so we need to really position our websites as a tool to help this hero achieve the goals and objectives that they're trying to achieve. And we, as a result of that, we need to talk more about the problems that they're experiencing and how our solutions or the products that we sell are really solutions to their problem. When I look at websites, they're talking a lot about themselves, and they're hardly ever talking about the problems that they solve. But at the end of the day, especially in B2B, everything that we do as a company is about solving problems for our customers. If they could solve those problems on their own, they would. They can't. And so they're coming to your website, and they're coming to my website, trying to figure out, how do I solve this problem? What are ways that I can solve this problem? And so when we think about, optimizing our user experience, we need to think about, how do we make the customer the hero and really improve that process so that they are equipped, enabled, and empowered to solve their problem using your website and ultimately your solution. And so with that in mind, let's just take a look at, and begin to have our discussion here as we go through this process. When I think about it, I'm back on the agenda here. I'm up here at, what buyers are looking for. And we just talked about how they really are wanting to be the hero. They're wanting to solve problems. And there's 3 keywords here that I think are really helpful that we talk to customers about. And when they're thinking about, how do I improve my website? How do I make it more useful to our buyers? It's help, give, and do. We need to help them see what's wrong so that they have a clear understanding of the problem. In fact, I'm going to talk to you when we look at some websites in a little bit. We actually want to agitate the pain. We don't want to just talk about the problem. We want to really help them understand that this is a problem. There's a saying, the pain of same has got to be greater than the pain of change if we're going to get our buyers to do something. And so we want to agitate that pain. So we need to help them see what's wrong. We need to help them understand why it's happening, and then we need to help them know what to do about it. And then under give, we need to give them useful information as it relates to those things. We need to give them tools, resources, and guides. That's why we build all those things on our websites, by the way. But then the last one under give, we need to give them access to people that can help them solve their problem when they're ready for it. And so if we think about our website as a tool to help them, and then, hey, when you're ready to talk to somebody, here's how to do that, you're going to have a lot better success on your website. And then the last action word is do. So we want to do it in a way that they like, in channels that they really care about. And when you think about website user experience, we are going to focus heavily on the website today, but I do want to take one step back and just recognize the fact that user experience doesn't just happen on our website. User experience actually starts with the first time that buyer interacts with our brand. And that could be on a podcast, that could be on social media, that could be in other places. And so website or user experiences before they land on our website, what they do when they are on our website, and then what happens after they visit our website. And so it's really important that we think about this help, give, and do, not just on our website, but in every interaction that our buyers have with us digitally. And so the first question here that I would love to just throw out to the group is, why do our websites exist? If we're talking about, improving user experience, let's start with, why do we even have a website in the first place? Like, what is the purpose of our website? Does anybody want to share their thoughts on that? Is it just to have a sexy brand? It's got to be more than that.
Sure, I'll answer. This is Fernando Leon.
Hey, Fernando.
And, hey, how's it going? Thanks for putting this together. But so far, we're 15 minutes into this, and I'm loving what I hear. I usually drop off because the message is usually garbage, and you're on point. I just wanted to say that first. But a website exists so when you have a visitor that arrives, you want to answer a question of a challenge they're experiencing, of a problem that they're having. You want to provide a value proposition and obviously a call to action, right? You want them to do something after they arrive. If they see you as a fit, you're not going to convert 100% of your visitors, but I believe that if you convert over 10%, that's a very that's a great number to shoot for. But I think that you need to be able to answer a problem, right? They're looking for a solution. I mean, that's why they're on Google. They're looking for something They have a problem. You're there to solve it. And that's
Right.
what your website, that's why a website exists, is to solve problems.
Right. So it's not about talking about how great you are, all the awards that you've won, or that you're ISO 9000 certified or whatever that is. It's about how can I help you, which is a great point, Fernando. So thanks for jumping in. And I'm going to try to take notes here as best I can. So I may have a few misspelled words and have some bad grammar, which I am notorious for. And everybody that's from Vende is laughing right now if they're on the webinar, because they know that's true. But why else what are other reasons that we have a website?
This is Andy Smith. I have something that'll expand on the answering questions. Liz Willits has this list of 8 great questions that every website should answer.
Awesome.
And it's, who is the product for? How does the product make my life better? What is it? Does it actually work? How much does it cost? Can I try it for free? If I don't like it, can I get my money back? And how do I get it? The last one being the call to action.
Okay, so Andy, that was like, you just dropped some great knowledge, golden nuggets right there. And I'm not going to be able to type all that in. Obviously, we have this recorded, but if you are not a member of the LinkedIn group, Andy, could you become a member today so that
I sent in my request to join the group today.
Yeah, please do, because I think everybody would love to have access to those 8 questions. That you nailed it. You nailed it. Anybody else? Anybody else want to add to the conversation here as it relates to the purpose of our website?
I'll say it depends. What is the purpose of the query to start with? This is Johan, by the way, with the Media.
Hi, Johan. Nice to meet you. Thanks for joining us.
So are they looking for information? Are they looking for pricing? Are they looking for, they could also be looking around, and you are one of the stops they are going to go to.
Right.
So the website is, you have to understand what they are asking and be contextually relevant in the answer you'll provide on the pages you are sending them to. And if you are, then give them the opportunity to reach out and interact with you through the channels they want to talk to you by. It could be chat, it could be phone, it could be a form, it could be anything else. So
I love your answer, because it's really all about the user. And it kind of goes back to the do it in a way that I like, in channels and devices that I prefer. So it's really, let's begin with the end in mind, understand what our users want, and direct them to the places that we can help them, and then do it in a format that makes sense to them. That's great. How about one more contribution? Yes.
I just wanted to say it also needs to be relatable. The empathy, where you understand, not just be there to answer questions, but they're comfortable when they come into your home. And
I love
really,
that.
your website is your home.
That's great. Is that Lori that made that comment?
Yes.
Hi, Lori. That's a great
Lori
point.
from Colorado.
Yes. Yeah, that's a great point. One of the things that we talk about when we think about our website is that we want to establish authority. So yes, we are qualified to solve the problem, and we want to communicate that we have authority, which is one of the goals. And then the other one, just tied right to what Lori said, is not only do we have authority, but we have empathy. So empathy is, not only are we qualified to solve your problem, but we want to, we want to solve your problem. We care about that. And I can't tell you how important that is today, especially in, I don't know about you guys, but it just feels like customer service in general has taken a nosedive over the last couple of years. And it feels like many of the brands that I interact with, they don't have empathy. They don't feel like they really want to do business with me. And so when I interact with somebody and it feels like they really do, man, that's an exponentially better feeling, and I have more goodwill towards that brand. So Lori, that's a really great point. The only other thing that I would add to all of this great feedback is that, and I think we touched and danced around this, but we need to provide a plan forward. So they've come to our website, they have a problem, we need to do all the things that we just talked about. But then the other thing we need to do with our website, another purpose, is to give them a plan forward. And I see this as a challenge for a lot of B2Bs. They often will have a call to action. We all know about calls to action, but that call to action really needs to be a part of a path forward for them to solve their problem. And we can all do, I think, a better job of connecting the dot between, hey, you've got this problem, you're on our website, we have authority to solve the problem, we have empathy, we want to solve the problem. In fact, we want to solve it so bad, we've given you a path forward for you to solve that problem. And here's how to do it. And that first step just happens to be whatever that next step is in your buying process. So that was a
Hey,
great
Paul?
discussion. Yes, go ahead.
I want to add one more thing, which is against what everybody's been saying. If I were to ask my sales team, they would say simply turn visitors into prospects, which includes all the things that we've been talking about.
Right.
But that's what they would tell me. How do we turn our visitors into prospects and have meaningful conversations?
Yeah. In fact, in a way, Amy, that's kind of a lagging indicator, right? I think the indicator may be the wrong word. I think in order to get to that desired outcome, we have to do all the things we just got through talking about. We have to have great UX. We have to answer questions for the customer. We have to establish authority and empathy, give them a plan forward. And if we do those things, then we actually will convert traffic into leads. And discussions we'll have in other sessions for sure will be, how do we acquire the most qualified traffic to our website? Because you know what, you can have the best UX in the world, but if you're driving bad traffic, it's not going to matter. So, but that's a really great point, Amy. I'm going to document that too.
Paul, if I may also, I mean, we have to make a difference between demand gen and demand capture. I mean, when you are, if you are doing demand capture, it's a Google ad and you're sending people to a landing page, it's very, very different than answering questions, or specific questions, or providing information to people. The UX experience is going to be different.
But it's still focused on accomplishing the objective of the buyer, right? So if you've got a demand capture motion, which all of us need to have demand gen and demand capture, we need to drive that visitor that's capturing demand, they're already in market, to an experience that helps them do what they need to do to take the next step.
Sure,
So
but the UX is different. The UX is very different. What
the
you're
user
showing
experience would be different in that, yeah, 100%. But the goals are the same, to give them the information they need to take the next step. Whether
Yes.
I'm very early cycle, in my opinion, whether I'm very early cycle and just trying to learn about problems that I'm trying to solve, or I'm very direct response, I'm looking for an accounting software package right now. We're still trying to achieve the same objectives, establish authority and empathy, give them a path forward. We're just going to communicate it differently based on where they are in the buying journey. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Awesome. So let's talk about this will be fun. What makes for a bad user experience? I mean, come on, we all see it every day. What are the elements when you land on a website and you go, oh God, I got to hit the back button and get the heck away from this? What would those things be?
Well, the first thing is loading time.
Yeah, loading time. That's good. What else?
Inundate somebody with information, right? They just had vomit information. It's like you drown them with information where you're just like, hey, I want to get to the end. I want to get to my answer immediately, and it should be answered. Actually, 50% of the answer should be answered in the headline.
Yes.
And 100%. The rest should be with content. And I'm a big believer in less is more.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We're big fans of Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. I don't know if you've read that book. It's a great book. Every marketer should read it. But one of the things that he talks about is our job as marketers is to consume the calories in getting our message clear and concise, so that our buyers don't have to do the hard work. In fact, having too many words on your webpage is lazy marketing, right? Smart marketing is figuring out how to be very precise and concise with your words, because people don't want to read. I mean, we know it. You can look at heat maps on just about any website. People don't like to read words. They want just the facts, enough information for them to take the next step. So that's a great point. What else makes for a bad user experience?
Gating too much content.
Gating too much content. I love it. Holding your content hostage. There is a time and a place for some gated content. We can talk about that in a little bit, but Absolutely. Why take your best stuff and hold it hostage? What else? I'll throw one in. Jargon. Too much jargon, too much inside baseball, expecting our customers to really know all this, industry verbiage that we live, eat, and breathe every day. We're not guaranteed, especially influencers that may be coming and doing some of the research. They're not going to have any clue about some of that stuff.
I think it's a bad experience when a website doesn't disclose the sales process, where you're thrown into a funnel without any clue what the next steps are.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's good. Anything else?
Misalignment on messaging. They have a query, they're then on a landing page that doesn't reflect really what they are looking for. I use that with my team. Is if I'm looking for Chinese food and you send me to a page that gives me Korean barbecue,
Yeah,
friction doesn't work.
that's great. That's really good.
I don't
Go ahead.
I don't see it very often, but I have misspellings, grammar, terrible grammar. That's bad.
Yeah, talk about establishing authority, or the opposite, right? If you land on a website and there's really bad grammar or really bad misspelled words, you're just going to think this company doesn't know what they're doing. They can't help me. So those are all excellent. Let's move on to the next question, which is what we think the table stakes are. And I think we've probably touched on some of these already and why our website exists in some of the conversations. But, if we were to say, hey, there's 5 or 6 things that every website needs, what would those 5 or 6 things be? And, we don't have to limit it to 5 or 6, but what are kind of the table stakes? We got to have these if we're going to have a great user experience.
I think that some type of pricing page is critical.
I'm seeing more and more of that. We even added a pricing page to our website last year, and I think it's really helpful. It goes back to, if we truly are buyer enablement and we know buyers want to know how much your stuff costs, having some pricing on there is helpful in the right circumstance for sure.
I'm a big fan of the drift pricing page. They don't actually put any pricing on there. It's just essentially a call to action to discuss the pricing based on your needs.
Wow. So, I haven't been there in a while. I'll have to go look at that.
It's an interesting approach.
I think another, clear and concise messaging, we talked about that, but to me, that's table stakes, right? We have to have clear messaging.
Yeah, but the pricing without the pricing is a double-edged sword. I've tried both. Can tell you, always use a double-edged sword.
So pricing without having a pricing page, but not showing the pricing, hasn't worked for you?
Well, it really depends. It's not that easy. It depends what you're doing. If you're in B2B and you have to price based on the customer's needs, then it's very hard to do. But we have done with and without pricing, and I couldn't tell you which one works out best.
Gotcha. What else? What else are table stakes?
Third-party validation.
Yes, that's excellent. Or just proof of some kind, right? Some type of proof that we can validate that we are qualified to solve their problem. Evidence, anything that really validates that we are able to do this for you.
If there's a chat bot, Paul, if there's a chat or bot, actually having it be helpful, not just kind of circular references.
Yeah. Yes. Good one, Lisa. And thanks for joining us today. Glad to have you on the call. Another one is navigation. We haven't talked about this too much, and I get in a lot of arm wrestles with companies about their navigation. Your top navigation, in my opinion, needs to be as few buttons as possible and only helpful in the buying process, possibly support, depending on your business. But most of the stuff that you have in your top nav, or that's in a lot of companies' top nav, can easily be put in the footer, and it just confuses your buyer. So I'm a big fan of limit your top nav to just the bare essentials. And another thing is don't get cute with your nav, right? Don't call things, don't come up with cute words where they don't understand what you mean by that. That's another thing. Anything else?
Paul, what about accessibility and really going all the way with that?
That's becoming more and more important these days for sure, right? In fact, it's I think Google's actually looking at that in terms of ranking is how accessible your website is. That's a great point. Was that Lisa?
Yes.
Awesome. Thanks, Lisa. Another one that we haven't talked about is a primary call to action and having that very clear and active. I still see a lot of websites out there today that just have like a very passive learn more or something like that call to action instead of a schedule a discovery meeting, get a demo, and having that very clear and prominent. I think that's table stakes too. We've got to have that.
I think it depends though, Paul. I mean, if the query is informational, you got to make a few deposits before you ask for a withdrawal. So, if I send you on a page where it's informational and you're asking for or the only call to action are demo requests, it just doesn't work.
Yeah, I think I would agree. Like, for example, on a blog, right? If we have a blog and somebody Googled because they're looking for tips on improving website UX, and you land on a page and the above the fold is some giant image with a big old button in the middle that says schedule a demo, that's going to be counterproductive for sure, right? You've got to deliver a message to the audience that's relevant to what they're looking for. But I'm a fan of having like a call to action top right in the nav that's in an offset color, so that when people land on your site, whether they're on your blog or homepage or wherever, it's just part of your nav and it jumps out at you because it's a different color than the rest of your navigational elements. I think I found that works really well.
Yeah, you can also use a slider. Actually, I've used that on a few sites. So you have a slider that is a sticky that follows throughout. It works out very well.
Yep, our navigation does that on our website, where as you scroll down, the top nav just kind of follows you. It's sticky. So any other table stakes? Okay, this has been a great discussion, guys, and we're going to actually look at some websites together here in a minute. We get to weigh in on what's working, what's not working. I did want to go over a few tips with you guys, and we talked about some of this already, but kill copy, kill jargon, kill acronyms. I think most B2B's websites out there, especially on landing pages and home pages and about us pages, you can probably kill 50% of your copy. So I do think that there's way to, we can get better at talking about what we do with less words and less jargon. We need to, the next bullet down is purposeful positioning. One thing I just feel like B2Bs don't do enough of is thinking about their positioning. When I think about positioning, I think about, what are their alternatives? Like if they didn't use Vende to do their digital marketing, or they didn't use StormForge for their Kubernetes optimization, if they didn't use my product or service, what would they do instead? And how is my solution better than I'm just going to call that the old way. How's my solution better than that? And how do I turn that knowledge into good marketing copy, so that I'm positioning myself as a better alternative to what they're doing today? I think that's really good. And then really trying to understand, how is your solution a bridge to a better tomorrow? So, hey, you've got this problem. This is what life will look like if you solve this problem with us, and our product or service really is the bridge to get you where you're trying to go. And that's what I mean by that. The next bullet down is reverse engineer the buying process. And the key to that is you start with, what does a happy customer look like today? And then work backwards to somebody that doesn't know that you exist today, and really identify all of the steps that take them from they don't know that you exist to they are a company that is in love with you, or an individual that loves working with your company, and define each of those steps. And the way I work with clients on that is I get them to think about what I call the next logical step. So, okay, this person doesn't know that you exist today. Now they do. What is the next logical step for them? And then once you define that, what is the next logical step? What is the next logical step until you've really flushed out what that buyer journey looks like? And that's really key, because when you get to flushing out what that buyer process looks like, then you can go into these questions here, which are the optimization questions. And how do we make how can we make this step easier? How can we make this step worth it? We're asking them to jump through this hoop, whatever that hoop may be. What can I do to make that easier? What can I do to make it faster? And then how can I surprise or delight them in this step? How can I give them something that maybe they weren't expecting? And if we can do that with each of those steps and make sure that our website and our digital footprint really just becomes an enablement tool to accomplish that, then we're going to have a really good user experience. I'm going to pause here before I go to the next one. Any thoughts or comments on these tips? Any other tips that maybe you'd like to share? Okay. So I know this was mentioned earlier, I can't remember who, but the next bullet down, only gate content that shows intent. I do think we have to get out of, and I am as guilty as anybody on this call about getting MQLs. I've been in the digital marketing space for a long time, and I have to prove my value to my clients every day, every month. And so gating content and generating MQLs is a great way of proving to my client that we're working for them. But the reality is, in today's world, if you're gating stuff that doesn't show intent, you're actually hurting yourself, and it's not part of demand generation. And so, we're recommending that unless this thing shows intent and you need their information in order to deliver the value, it should probably be ungated. Average conversion rates on B2B stuff is like 5%, 3 to 5%, which means that 95 to 97% of the people that you'd love to see that gated piece of content aren't, because they're not going to fill out the form. So don't hold your content hostage, make it available to everyone. Thoughts, comments on that? Amens, hallelujahs, hell knows, as it relates to gating content?
I agree. It gets tricky, but I agree.
It is hard. There's tension, right? We want that indicator. We want to show it's working. Hey, we spent this money, we spent this effort. Look at these leads we generated. And the reality is, if we can learn to let go, our pipelines will actually benefit as a result of that, because more people are going to see our content. The last numbers that I saw were like, on average, 8 people are involved in a B2B decision on the client side. And if we're gating our content, not everybody's going to see it, I think. So that's a great opportunity to just get more people to consume it.
And make sure that the content's worth gating too. Nothing worse than leaving information. You get some generic watered down, thing that a college student could have wrote without any sort of industry knowledge.
Or, oh, you know what? Let's get some AI tool to go and read 5 blogs and make a guide that we can gate. Not.
The other thing I was going to mention, there's a lot more tools that are available nowadays that if you really are concerned about, trying to create MQLs, there's a lot of tools that will tell you who's visiting your site, even if they're not leaving their information behind. So if that's really a concern, I think those are becoming more and more common.
Yeah, I'd love to see
more in B2B enterprise, where one deal can, make or break an entire quarter, right? So those might be worth investing.
100%. And I'd even like to see more B2Bs developing tools that help the customer in the evaluation phase. That, maybe it's an audit, maybe it's an analysis, maybe it's a calculator of some kind, but they have to give you information in order for you to do the work that the tool will do. And so it's a give-get. They're giving you the information because they want the output. And then you need to deliver the report via email or something like that. That is a great way of creating an asset that shows intent and also delivers value. So that's a great point. Moving on to the next bullet down, address questions and objections. The key to that one is when buyers come to your website, they have bias, they have objections, they have things that are going to keep them from wanting to talk to your sales reps. things that are going to keep them from not wanting to move forward with your business, it's worth it to figure that stuff out and then address it on your website, because that's part of their buyer process. We want to make it easy for them to say yes. Therefore, we need to handle those objections where they are wanting to learn about how do we deal with those objections. Then the next bullet down is talk to your niche. And so don't try to be everything to everybody. Really understand who your ideal customers are and try to talk to them, because if you don't, you'll water down your message. When you try to be everything to everybody, you end up being nothing to nobody. And so really hone in on your niche and make sure you're talking to them in a language that makes sense. And then the last step here is provide a plan forward. We call this our 3-step plan, but this goes back to, hey, they're looking for a plan, and make sure that you've clearly communicated, this is the next step you need to take. When you take this step, this is the cool thing that's going to happen, and this is how we're going to solve your problem. And then the third step is, and I'll show you an example of this on our website in a second, but this is what your life will be like after we've solved your problem together. And so those are just some tips that we found work really well in improving UX. Any other tips? I'm going to open it up to the group. And just, is there anything out there that you found that's really helpful that we haven't talked about?
No, but Paul, I've got a question based on one of the comments earlier. What does it mean when you say accessibility? What does that mean, and how does that relate to what you were just talking about, if it does or does not?
Lisa, you want to answer that? I think you're the one that brought it up.
Well, I mean, we're assessing how much we need to do for our audience, and it ties back to what you're saying. I mean, who is our ideal client, but also where we don't want to turn away visitors who need the accessibility features. So, I mean, we're assessing that right now. How far do we go? I mean, we don't want to turn away visitors and disrespect them and their ability to embrace our content.
Right. And that would be people, Amy, that either can't see or can't hear, or so it's accessibility. It's making your content available to everyone.
Yeah. Sorry, if I didn't answer the question.
Yeah, that's fine. That's great. Did that make sense, Amy?
Yeah, it does. And it's interesting because I don't know that we've really thought about that yet, to be honest.
A lot of websites come with some native, like WordPress websites have some native accessibility built in. And there are more accessibility. It's becoming more of a forefront discussion. In fact, as I mentioned, Google, I think, is actually looking at some of those accessibility features as part of their ranking algorithm today. So, and that's something, Amy, I'm happy to dig into more about. I'm not super qualified to talk about it, but that's a great point, Lisa, and thanks for bringing that back up. So it's 12:44 Central Time. We have about 16 minutes left. I don't think I'm going to get through all of the different things that were here, but I did promise somebody that they actually, right after last month's Demand Gen Jam session, they were like, please have everybody review my website. I really want to get feedback. And then they literally just messaged me on LinkedIn right before, like 30 minutes before, telling me they weren't going to be able to be here today, and asked if I could just record it, which of course we are. But they're very keen on getting our feedback on their digital footprint. And so this particular company, I'm not even going to tell you what they do, because I think when people land on your website, they need to be able to figure that out on their own. And so this is Database is the name of the company. And this is, kind of what they look like when you land on their website. One thing that I always look for above the fold is, does it answer these 3 questions? What do you do? What's in it for me, the buyer? And how do I take the next step? And so when I look at this, I see what I need to do to take the next step, request a demo. I'm not sure that I see, what do you do? I think this is, what's in it for me, sales performance simplified, but that's even vague. What do you guys think? When you look at this homepage, give me some feedback. What do you like? What do you not like?
This is Fernando. I agree. I have no idea what they do. The first thing that came to my mind is sales training.
Yeah.
Sales improvements. but that's not it. I mean, I had to go down to H2 headline, and that tells me they're a CRM, right? Who's behind your.
And I don't even think they're a CRM. I think they're
I
CRM
don't think so either.
analytics.
Yeah.
I don't even know what CRM analytics is. I don't even know what that means, right?
Yeah, I'm confused. I have no idea. I would be leaving.
Right.
Immediately.
The sales proposition is towards the value proposition, the strongest part of it anyways, towards the end of that H2. Make more data-driven decisions that will empower your sales team to
Where
reach
is
their
that?
full
Help me
performance.
see it.
It's the last part of that second line.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's a little bit
right here.
You're bearing you're bearing the lead a little bit. And even then, if you don't add sales team in there, I always say if it sounds like you could use that tagline to sell anything, then it's not a good tagline.
Right.
So you want to be a little bit more specific, but I think that message right there is strong. It's just maybe getting missed a little bit.
Yeah, this almost should be the headline in some form or fashion, right? And then I don't even know what value that tells. I don't know. I mean, it's taking up like 60% of the full real estate, and I don't know that it's really telling me anything. I certainly don't know enough to request a demo yet. Does anybody feel like they know enough to request a demo?
In this industry, there's a solution called sales performance management or sales engagement. So those are terms that an industry professional or sales manager might recognize. It just seems generic to us because we're not necessarily shopping for it.
Right.
And it could also confuse other people who are landing on the site and not really sure what they're looking for accidentally, right? So you might create a situation where you're creating MQL or leads that aren't a good fit.
What would you do next? If you landed on this part, would you scroll down? Would you click on a button? What do you think you would do? What would your natural tendency, other than hit the back button, be?
I am in that space, so I can tell you what I would do. But they should the viewport for them. I think they did a pretty decent job for people in my space who understand what they're doing. But I agree with you. The sales performance simplified, the H1 tag is way too big, way too big. The second, the H2, it's not even an H2. It's standard paragraph stuff. Needs to be a little more visible. But I would indicate that there is more information at the bottom by getting the section below to actually bleed into the top. So show some stuff.
Right.
Give some third-party validation there. For example, the companies you are working with, the logos you are working with, I would try to make sure that people would see it right off the bat. And
that's great. I love what you're saying. So make it where you almost want to scroll down, and then instead of having predictable performance, which couldn't probably everybody on this call could say they provide predictable performance, right? I mean, it's not very valuable headline there. And instead replace it with some social proof, testimonials, stats, facts, a feature stack of some kind. I'm a big fan. Go ahead, Amy.
Or a graph showing how they improve it. Like what's the before and after picture or something.
Yeah. No,
Amy, I like the stuff on your site where it has like those metrics. They're a little bit, they're not above the fold on your site, but like down below, it's always nice to see like performance improvements on key metrics, sort of above the fold, just so it sort of clarifies what exactly you're talking about. Reaching their full potential, how is the next question I have. What do you mean by that? If you can address that in the first 5 seconds, that's ideal.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, my brain went to CRM, Salesforce. How does this help Salesforce, and why would I want to add something to it? But again, this is not an area I'm focused on.
Right, and it's really not telling me, hey, this is the problem that we solve, in my opinion. And I wish that it was. I wish that it was saying, hey, if you've got this problem, we've got the solution to that. And so
I think we should piggyback on what Amy was saying: is show what you do, don't talk about it. If you're allowed for people to read the text to understand what you do, you're going to have a problem.
Right. Yeah. People don't read. and they don't read websites unless they really, really are interested. You've got to get them hooked in first before they do. Let's do this. I'm going to jump over to their LinkedIn page real quick.
One thing I would say about that site, I do think it has a very strong visual, striking, right? Just the visual language that it has. I think it is very compelling in that respect. It looks very slick and sleek.
Right. It's got it passes the sniff test, was what I call it. Like, hey, this is a legit site. This isn't somebody doing something in their spare bedroom. This is somebody I can trust.
But it's very clean, and also probably their score is probably really high on the Google page speed.
Possibly. Yeah, it's probably designed for good SEO. That's a good point, Johan, for sure. When I look at their LinkedIn profile, and I did go before the call today just to kind of see, I didn't feel like they're really leveraging this point of presence as a place to really create demand, tell their story, talk about the problems they solve. And that's a challenge I see with a lot of B2Bs. It's a lot of back office stuff. Hey, here's new employees. Here's some cool stuff that we're doing as a team. But rather, I think, when we're posting content in social, while it's good to have that, we also need to be thinking about extending our message to that channel. Because remember, UX starts with wherever our brand interacts with our buyer. So let me just jump back real quick, and we've got about 7 minutes left. I'm going to jump over to their book a demo page. So assuming that you decided you wanted to book a demo, this is where you go. And one thing that jumped out to me, and I know you guys are seeing this for the first time, I'm always a big fan of having the demo page really communicate what does this mean. I think a lot of businesses just assume, hey, this is what a demo is. This is what that experience will be like. They expect the buyer to actually know that. I feel like we need to take this opportunity to do things like social proof, which they have some social proof and things like that here, but also just tell me what's going to happen next. Like when I fill this form out, what is that experience going to be like? Well, other thoughts or comments about their conversion page?
Interestingly enough, the way that bar on the bottom is set up, it actually makes me feel like that's the bottom of the page, and I wouldn't scroll down to the rest of the content below.
Right.
I saw it initially and I was like, oh, that's a pretty small landing page, but then you scroll down.
Yeah.
I don't think I would have naturally done that. I do like the short form.
I do too. And above the fold, but that's good, right?
Yeah, you can always get more information later. I think there's a missed opportunity with the top left content. Your H1 content on this page it's pretty light.
Yeah.
So, if you could make your landing page sort of a succinct version of your entire site, ideally. Try to tell as much of the story you can in as little space as possible.
Yeah, that's great feedback. Anybody else?
I'm a big believer in big headlines, right? The headline has to speak to me. It has to hit a nerve. I agree with this. The coloring of the text is too light. It's like I have to squint to almost read it. I'm not a big fan of testimonials on landing pages, and I'm a big less is more. So maybe a few more bullet points, adding more value. I don't know, but yeah, less is more to me.
Yeah, I mean, this is crunch time. You've got them to this page. Yeah. The goal is to get them to hit that button right here. Got to make it super easy for them to do that.
Yep.
So, great feedback.
I like their quote. I just would visually pull that out. I didn't realize that was a quote. I actually thought it originally was from their VP instead of a customer.
Great point.
So Amy. I almost think pull that out to the side and highlight that a little bit better because it's hard to read. I was thinking I was looking at the VP of sales originally for them until I got my glasses and looked closer.
That's good. That's good. That's great feedback. Hey guys, I promised you at the beginning of the call, I was going to keep this to an hour. We've got 4 minutes left. I did want to highlight a couple of things. We were going to go look at Hotjar's website, which we're not going to. I was going to walk you through the Vende Digital website and some things that we do that we think are important. I will highlight one thing just really quick, and that is agitating the pain. You heard me mention it earlier. we always like to take the very next section after the header. And Johan, just like you, we always make sure that our masthead, this hero image, doesn't take up all of the above the fold real estate to create interest, to make you want to draw down like you were just talking about. But we always agitate the pain below. After we answer the 3 questions, what do you do? What's in it for me? How do I take the next step? The next thing we want to do is agitate the pain. So we want to talk to the buyer personally as a human being and talk about how they're frustrated or struggling or dealing with a problem, so that we can establish ourselves later on as the answer to their problem. So that's something that I didn't think that last website had a good example of. And I did want to show you this. I think Amy's website, Stormforge, is awesome. One of the things that I really like that they're doing and is the way that they present their what we call premium content, or think of it like guides or ebooks. They give you 2 ways to consume that content. One is as a web page. And so you can see here, this is basically a guide that has been repurposed as a web page. And they do a great job of visually presenting this as a web page, but have it still feel kind of like a guide. I love that. And I also like how they give you the option to get it as a PDF. And so when you think about this world that we're heading into, where we're going to have ungated things happening, this is a great way of presenting content that can be, ungated, yet still, as a customer service, provide a way for them to get to the PDF version. The one thing that I would recommend that maybe they do differently is, maybe email them the PDF with some different messaging. Hey, would you like to have this as a guide? Click here, we'll email it to you so you can read it offline or something like that. But I think this is a great example of how we can ungate our content by turning that content into web pages and still make it a guide. So check that out. I do have a handful of resources here available to everybody. One, we've got this checklist on our website. All this stuff's ungated, so you can just click on it on your own. Hotjar is a heat map software platform. We have no affiliation with them at all, but it does give you the ability to see a heat map. So where are people clicking? But it also records individual user sessions, so you can actually watch where people are going by session. So as we're trying to improve our UX, it's always nice to see kind of what's happening, what visitors are doing, so it records that for you. I don't know if you're a fan of Dave Gerhardt, but I'm a big fan of him, and he just launched a new book. Again, I'm not affiliated with Dave at all, called Founder Brand. It came out yesterday, but they're running a special on Amazon right now. You can get it for 99 cents. You have to get the Kindle version, though, to do that. So I can't wait to read it. I haven't read it yet, but there's a link if you want that. We really don't have any time for hot potatoes or the takeaway challenge. This is a new component to the agenda for this month. So here's my challenge to all of us, and I'm still going to be a good steward and get us out of here right now. You need to join the group. Let's continue this discussion inside of the LinkedIn group, and we can talk about hot potato items there, and we can talk about our big takeaways from the event there as well. So guys, thank you. This was an awesome discussion. I thought we had some really great feedback. I'll see you guys on March 16th for our next session, and I will see you on the LinkedIn group. Hope to see you there. Everybody have a great day. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.